Hi, Misha here, and last time when we were doing at least a Predator video, we looked at the ancient warrior and the, sorry, moving things around behind me, and the temple guard, or just Yacha guard from the 2004 AVP film. Now, with those out of the way, we're looking at the main three young bloods going into their blooding ritual on Bouvet Island. We have Chopper, Celtic, and of course Scar. And this is the unmasked Scar. I'll explain when we get to him why I don't have the masked one, but suffice to say, it'll work. These are all from NECA, and kind of a take on the old McFarlane line. And as we said last time, they're kind of the early 30 points of articulation. They're all brothers from the same clan, same family, so the fact that they have a lot of similarities makes perfect sense. Also, the fact that their armor equipment's pretty clean makes sense because they really haven't been on any hunts before, at least solo hunts. And their first would kind of be their last. I'll talk about that too. Anyway, we'll jump in. Please like, share, subscribe. Beginning with Chopper, the middle brother, aka the Gill Predator, because of his biomask. It actually has kind of a single visor slit, making it a little unique. And his armor is a little different color. In a lot of ways, he might be the most different of these, which is, I don't know, he's the first one to die, though. And some ways, I think, he actually stands quite well on his own. Some ways, I think that NECA did kind of over and above with him because McFarlane never did him. Interesting that they did the Elder from the film, but not Chopper here. And he actually comes with quite a few accessories. Many are repeats, but many are unique, including these spears on his back. I already took one off just to show you. It is a pokey thing. He seems to be more of a melee weapon person. And they seem to have human skulls on the top. So I don't know if he got the skulls from someone else, but knowing predators, they kind of keep their own trophies. Maybe when he was a juvenile young blood, he was on a supervised hunt and killed himself some humans. Who knows? It is said in lore that he is fascinated by the self-destructive, warlike nature of humans, which makes sense because he himself is rather aggressive and impulsive, as it were. And he's played by Ian White in the film, and about 7.5 feet tall, pretty standard. And of course, his big thing, and the reason for his name, are his big blades here, usually called scimitars, sometimes called arm blades instead of wrist blades. And there's kind of a pro and con. It's said that he is a master of these, but then we never really see anyone else using them, and we never see him really using them, because again, he dies first. Hard to say, but they're unique to him. They probably suit his style of aggression and recklessness. They give a longer reach and more cutting power than a wrist blade, but they are a little unwieldy, less maneuverable, bulkier, and they don't fully retract in. When you looked at the temple guard in the last video, I put the retracted in versions of those in his hands, arms, whatever, and Chopper comes with them as well. This is as far as they can really go in. But I thought since it's so iconic for him to have those that, yeah, he needed them. He also has the standard wrist computer. It does open up. Mine's very stiff, but that's not bad. And he also has the ceremonial dagger on his hip, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And he also has a plasma caster and backpack, which is actually where his other spear goes. Here it is plugged in. I find as long as you don't try to set it too low, it actually plugs in quite nicely to part of the backpack. And I believe the other backpacks also have that little kind of storage notch that I've used to put other things in, like extra blades and things. Kind of nice. But you can't store it too low down because the spear kind of gets gradually fatter as you go up towards the head. So there's kind of a sweet spot with him sticking up a bit over his head. Same goes for the other one over here. On your other figures in the line, this clip is in the same spot, but it's bigger for a combi stick. His is smaller skull spear. Part of the lore that's added to the Yautja in the film. Although I believe it started off in the comics 15 years earlier. Anyway, he starts off with a backpack, but no caster. And his is smaller than the other. Kind of has their own unique caster. If even the backpack and everything is the same. On the market is the backpack interchangeable. You can easily unplug it if you don't want him to have it, but A, I like him having it. B, I'm afraid if I unplug it, I'll lose it, even though I keep the extras in a bag. Still, you know, weird things happen. Other things of note. He has the least amount of armor of any of the three brothers. He doesn't really have any thigh armor to speak of, and his kind of lower chest armor is limited compared to the others. He is wearing sandals or foot gear, though, something I like about this breed of Yautja versus just bare feetses. It's said that they come from a colder area on the home world, and it's also the fact that they're in Alaska. So, yeah. Pretty neat, though. A few other accessories we'll look at when we get to the other figures. All three of them land in Alaska using drop pods, and they come in cloaked, and they do murder some humans on the surface. And then they make their way down to the pyramid when the mothership drilled the hole. And then in the pyramid, they continue to assault a team of humans. And that's where Chopper very quickly meets his demise. It's said that he his approval, child, and he was more of a follower, leader, trying to impress his brother. And so they stuck close together with the youngest brother, Scar, kind of splitting apart. So the point is, when Celtic and Chopper here got into a fight with the humans, he was getting ready to kill a human when one of the xenomorphs, nicknamed Grid, stabbed him with his tail through his chest, which would have killed him, but just to make sure, he also bit his head off. That'll do it. That made him the first predator ever seen in film killed by an alien, and also the first head bite, although head biting had been in video games for a number of years and was kind of a known feature. So despite his alleged skill with these scimitars, he also has smaller standard wrist blades, although this figure comes with them fully retracted for kind of obvious reasons. In a lot of ways, he is the most armored up. A total of 5 pokey weapons, 2 spears, 2 wrist, well, I guess that's 7, 2 wrist blades, 2 arm blades, and even the ceremonial dagger. It didn't just serve him too well. He was too reckless, too overconfident, too eager to please, too eager to what others thought of him. And he did. Next, we come to Celtic, and his name comes from his mask. So Chopper, unless you call him the Gill, came from his weapons. Well, his is from his mask. And it's more ornate, more elaborate. And generally speaking, it was kind of based on Guardians from the second Predator film, which in turn was a modification and reuse of the prototype Predator mask. So a little more mechanical, insectoid thing. Interesting mask at any rate. He is the oldest brother, considered the alpha, the leader, but just like the other two, he was unblooded, considered a young blood in his clan. So still unproven, but since he was older, he had more time to train with weapons, which is why we see him with a net gun. Unlike the City Hunters that fits on his hand, this one actually kind of goes over his computer, which is under it. Not sure how practical that would be, but okie dokie. We also see him using, or at least fitted with, this shuriken, something actually created for the AVP film. And essentially, it's a take on the smart disc. The director thought the smart disc was a cool idea, but looked a little too much like a frisbee, so he made this larger fan version with 6 spiky things. It's mostly a throwing weapon. It has very limited use as a hand weapon, although it can be. But it's mostly meant to be thrown, tossed. Because of the spikes, it can actually cut through more than the smart disc and has a wider range. But in addition to it not being as useful as a close-quarters weapon, it was more prone to getting stuck or broken. It was also heavier to carry. So, pros and cons. But this is the deployed version. Many of these have collapsed versions on their belts. Unlike the smart disc, it was carried more on the hip. These can collapse in more and fit on the belt. And we see these come with all the AVP line and quite a few later. He also comes, as you saw on his back, but here's another one with a collapsed combi stick. Just as before, these are kind of custom made by each Yautja, although there's a kind of standard plan. And Chopper did not have one, instead he had the spears. But Celtic does. And he comes with the kind of mid-range wrist blades, partially extended. Again, these are all interchangeable. Now, you may have noticed with Chopper, he had 2 fist hands, which kind of fits his personality. Celtic here has one almost completely closed hand, and then one open hand, which is actually good for holding the shuriken. And he has the larger clip on his back for a combi stick. He does come with the collapsed version. And he, of course, has the backpack, and even though he never acquired it in the film, because he never was blooded, it comes with the figure, which is good, and it's larger than Chopper's. Kind of neat. Also, he has more armor than Chopper. So, they land on Earth, like I said, drop pods, and they fight humans on the surface in Antarctica, and he actually takes some gunfire, which disables his cloak pretty early on. Still, he charges forward. He mortally wounds Quinn on the surface, and then goes into the pyramid to continue on with the humans, killing Sebastian in the pyramid, who was the mercenary leader. There's the pros and cons to Celtic here. He was very obviously young and inexperienced, even if he was the oldest brother. It's said that he was kind of brutish, impulsive, quick to anger, kind of overly aggressive, and didn't always think things through. But for a Yautja, a young one, those traits could have been harnessed into a good hunter, because at the same time he appeared to be honorable. He wasn't killing humans that weren't first attacking him, and he did care about his brothers. So he was loyal to his clan. So he had the makings of a good Yautja, but he needed seasoning. Like Chopper, he was played by Ian White. In fact, they made several suits that were all used interchangeably. They were just customized and modularized to make each Predator. Kind of, again, getting into the similarities. We also never see his face. He's always just masked. And White said that he was the alpha type, for better or worse. Kind of dominant. But, yeah. So, basically, if Celtic had been a human living 15 years later, he would have been a crypto bro. Take that as you will. So, anyway, he gets into the pyramid. And he's attacking humans, doing quite well, killing them. Some with his bare hands, because he is strong. He's considered the largest. Height-wise, he's still about 7.5 feet, just like the others, because, again, same actor, same suits. But he's a little thicker, just a little beefier, a little more grown. We don't know how much of an age gap there is between him and Chopper, but a few years. Well, he sees Chopper in trouble, being attacked by an alien, so he quickly deals with the humans and then goes to help Chopper, but by that point, he doesn't have a head anymore. And this is when anger gets the best of Celtic here. Nevertheless, fighting Grid, the same alien that Chopper had been killed by, they have a drawn-out fight. Again, no plasma caster. And he actually does pretty well. He not only hurts the alien, even chopping part of his little tail off, he actually chaps him with his net here. But before he could deliver the coup de grace, he makes a critical error. I said earlier we would get back to these ceremonial daggers, all three carried. These are part of a young blood's blooding ritual. Quite an interesting little ceremonial weapon. It's actually made from the bones of a xenomorph, at least the blade, so it's acid resistant. And these were primarily used for taking trophies and the blooding ceremony to, kind of cut open an alien, get the acid blood out, blood each other with it. And in a last resort, to use as a close-range weapon, kind of a short sword, kind of gladius. But mostly a ceremonial thing used for ritual. Well, instead of just dispatching the Grid alien with his wrist blades, which would have still been okay by the code, he decides to go ultimate, because killing something with this ceremonial weapon is considered the most honorable, most prestigious way to make a kill. He stops to gloat a little bit and pull it out, intending to kill Grid with it, to take him as a trophy and blood himself. I will say that these are neat. The way they fit in is very well done, not too tight, not too loose. I've never had one come out. It is a split blade, which is kind of cool. I think when McFarlane did these, they were just a single piece. NECA actually made them two kind of forks. Unfortunately, him stopping to gloat a bit also shows his overconfidence and arrogance, and that gave Grid, a rather intelligent alien, I suppose, just enough time to wiggle out of the net and attack and wound, and then again behead old Celtic here. So him getting angry at Grid was understandable, because he just saw his brother killed, but probably wasn't the right move, and even then he probably could have still won, but he stopped to kind of get the bonus point instead of just the assured thing, something that you can see the teaching lessons in these hunts, things that a more seasoned hunter would have not done. But still a neat one. But he died way too soon in the film. I get that you need to kind of kill one early on to heighten tension, but would have been neat to keep him. You see where the Shuriken goes on his belt. But a neat figure, more of a silvery colored armor. Still has the little feetses. And yeah, if he had survived, he might have grown into a good Yautja hunter, even a good leader. The makings were there, but he was just a little too cocky and a little too impulsive. And he was weeded out. And then there was just one. And now we come to the star of the show, the hero, or the maybe anti-hero. Almost a good guy predator, Scar, aka sometimes called the Alien Hunter, because he was the only one to actually reach blooded status, therefore a full-blooded warrior in Yautja culture, although he would only get to enjoy this a few hours at most. Anywho, as I said earlier, I ended up with the unmasked version, which was released first. He's the only one we actually see his face. But originally I did try picking up the masked version. I found it for a good price. But unfortunately the seller on eBay completely flaked. Not a single drop of communications, no tracking. But I have full refund, so nothing ventured, nothing gained. So settle for him. He's fine. If I run across a masked version later for $30-$40, I'll pick it up. Otherwise, it's all good. And he kind of continues the line. Like I said, Chopper came with two fisted hands, and then Celtic came with one splayed open hand and one closed gripping hand. And Scar has the reverse. He's got the open left hand and the grippy right hand, meaning that if you get all three, you can have all three types of hands for each side. Also, Scar, as we see in the film, has the fully extended long blades. Chopper having fully retracted. Celtic having mid-range. Yeah, pretty neat. And he comes with the backpack, and he comes with the plasma caster. As I was saying, he comes with his backpack, and he actually comes with a plasma caster, and he's the only one to actually earn it and use it in the film. And his is, for whatever reason, the biggest. I don't really know if there's a difference in actual functionality. I don't know if they crafted these themselves. What we do know is they were stored inside the pyramid, and the Yautja had to earn them. At least that was the plan. Unfortunately, the humans screwed it up. Now, the Predators did want the humans there because, well, someone's got to birth some babies and whatnot, but the humans found the casters and took them, which is why they were in such hot pursuit of the humans early on. And Scar, the youngest here, he was also played by Ian White, like the other two, which probably explains why we didn't get all three for a long time because of the technology of the day. You'll notice with later films like Predators, they actually had separate actors. But anyway, he was in universe a little shorter, just over 7 feet, and a little slimmer. He did wear the most armor, full thigh armor, full torso armor, kind of sheet plate steel. So, yeah, in some ways looks bulkier just because of that. He was a bit of a lone wolf. He went off on his own. He was considered the most intelligent and thoughtful, most crafty, and frankly, he was the one that the clan elder was looking to the most to pass the ritual. So he went off on his own, chasing humans. He actually went after Charles Wayland, and at first didn't want to kill him because Wayland was dying of cancer, which kind of adds to the Predator lore that they don't want to kill a terminally ill person. It fits in because we see in the Predator 2 film that they don't want to kill a pregnant person, so he ends up having to kill Wayland, though, in self-defense when Wayland attacks him with a flamethrower, allowing the other humans, who, again, still have their plasma casters, to get away. So he kills Wayland, But then he gets an opportunity to get blooded. He runs across a full-grown drone xenomorph and a facehugger and kills both. And he uses, I believe, his ceremonial blade to take some of their acid blood to mark both his biomask, and then he takes it off and marks his forehead. Then he takes a nap. Hey, get up, the hunt's not over. Unfortunately, when he took his mask off, which would have protected him probably, to blood himself, part of the ritual, a second facehugger took the opportunity to, as my notes say, make sweet love to his face hole, impregnating him, and actually being the reason we ended up with AVP Requiem. So, thanks a lot. Thanks ever so very much. Now, one thing that I did kind of note about AVP, the film, gestation was very quick in that film. If you look back at the original Alien, even Aliens, it took hours or even days between getting face hugged and chest bursted. But I guess to speed the plot along, they had to have it happen much faster in AVP. So he gets hugged, soon gets back up when the facehugger falls off dead, and resumes his tracking of the humans. At this point, he's earned the right to his plasma caster, but he doesn't have it. He eventually does chase down Lex Woods, and before it can get critical, she, in a bid to save her life, gives him the plasma caster, and he's able to use it instead of just his combi stick and wrist blades, which is good because they're soon set upon by aliens and have to fight together, kind of forming an interesting alliance. And we see him using his ceremonial blade to fashion weapons and a shield for Lex out of a corpse of a xenomorph. Again, the blade is kind of acid resistant because it's made from alien bone. And then they set about to find the hive lower down. Again, he's got the deployed combi stick in his hand. I may leave it in there, or now that I have an extra collapsed one, and he does have the spot on his back. Again, since Chopper can't use it, I may do this. I guess I could always give him 2 combi sticks, but that'd be a bit much. But yeah, this pegs in. At least in theory. There we go. A little C-clip. No, I'll decide later. And his computer also opens. He actually uses his self-destruct device. He unstraps it and sets it to detonate and plants it in the hive to blow it up. And from there, they pretty much run like hell to get back to the surface. Unfortunately, as they're getting towards the shaft, and in the shaft, they're attacked by aliens. I believe it's the Great Alien again. And Scar is injured, although not mortally so. He and Lex do make it to the surface just in time for the boom. But in typical alien fashion, also during the boom, the queen herself pops out of the ice. Took the combi stick out of his hand. The hands on these are a little harder than later ones, but not as hard as the earlier ones. You can tell it's just an inertia, and they do pop off, which is nice. At this point, he shouldn't have his wrist computer because, he used it to blow up the hive up. At this point, I also have to wonder if he knew he had an alien inside of him. It's also said, though, that Yautja had ways of removing alien embryo, which kind of makes sense since they were sending young bloods up against them. You don't know. So maybe he knew it was in him, but figured he'd get to his ship in time to get it exorcised. Don't know. I always kind of thought it was a bit odd, though. Maybe he was punning to blow himself up, but then he had to sacrifice that. I think there was a deleted scene where he tried to stab himself with his ceremonial blade, but it was cut. Either way, he and Lex are on the surface. They fight the queen. They actually chain her and throw her into the sea. I guess that's kind of a take on the old blowing her out the airlock trope. And, yeah, then he dies because she stabs him through the torso with her tail as she was flailing around going under the water. Apparently she didn't like the cold. So, alien queens do not want to join the polar bear club. Oh well, so he did. But at least he made it to the end, meaning the only survivor is technically Lex Woods. And then the mothership, which had been sitting on the surface nearby, uncloaks, and we have a bit of a repeat of the scene from the second Predator film. The Elder comes out. Instead of giving Lex a gun, he actually honors her with the combi stick. And before that, since she had helped kill aliens, Scar had blooded her. Might have been neat to have Lex as a figure, although they don't do many human figures in this line. But between her unique alien-made spear and shield and her getting a combi stick, she could have had enough weapons. Either way, Scar managed to get blooded and kill quite a few aliens. He actually had by far, well, really the only alien body count because the other brothers didn't. To be fair to Celtic, he killed more humans. So human count to Celtic and alien count to Scar, Chopper, the least of each. Although I think he did off a few humans. Scar here did actually finish off Quinn that Celtic had wounded, but that was more of a mercy kill than anything else. But anyway. And of course, like I said, he would gestate the Pred alien. Obviously, the alien tail didn't kill it when it impaled him. And so when the Predators took his body on board honorably, because he died honorably as a Yautja, as a blooded warrior, and they unknowingly took the Pred alien on board. Again, you'd think they would kind of routine scan to see if there was something inside. That seems a bit much. Oh well. And of course that led to the film. It is worth pointing out that the Pred alien did not cause the mothership to crash. That's not what we see crashing in Requiem. It's actually a scout ship it kind of gets to. I think if a mothership had crashed in Colorado, it would have been much more destructive. I thought I should point out that while the ceremonial blade appeared in AVP, we did see it kind of cameoing in Wolf's gear in Requiem. But I will say that they did return to the smaller, yet still tall-framed Predators for that next film. So this kind of big, almost comic book, bulky look was only on film for this one. So what do you think? Do you like it more? As a figure, it's great because it makes them much more durable, and they have the full articulation. I've also had good luck with these backpacks pegging in. Maybe it's just me, though. I would assume that that's supposed to be a Medicomp in the back, medical kit. And I do like that he's armored up. That's neat. I debated including him, but why not, since he was at the end of the film, also played by Ian White, but supposedly over 7.5 feet tall, the isolated clan's elder and presumable clan leader. He's the one that gives this combi stick to Lex. It's actually a unique one. This is, of course, from the same AVP line, and it confused me a little bit at first because, remember, I can't see pictures, so I didn't realize there was a different elder for him vis-a-vis the various Golden Angel releases. But he doesn't come with as many accessories, doesn't have the knife on the leg here. He does have the computer on his arm. He comes with the short wrist blades, although they're interchangeable, so you can put whatever you want in there. And he comes with the standard combi stick, but it's a little more fancy pants. It's got some spikes on it, some adornment. He has an exposed face, but he also does come with a removable biomask. Actually, earlier with Scar had been this way too. The inside has some detailing, it's not just plastic. And he has this fabric cape or wrap or whatever, which is relatively thick. It has an interesting pattern, almost like velvet or something. It's not just straight cloth. Pretty neat. And he has the Predator dreads that are pretty long, which befits his age, and also befitting his age, they're starting to go from black to gray. And since he doesn't come with as many removable accessories, he has quite a bit going on. The body is a lot of reuse, but of course there's a lot of unique bits. This was towards the end of the AVP line, the I think 4th wave in it, maybe 5th or 3rd, but around there. So yeah, but he's neat to have. Let's put the mask on. And here he is, kitted up. Fewer accessories than most of the other AVPs, but he has a lot more going on with his, outfit. There's pros and cons to the removable mask. In general, interchangeable heads, generally better. However, I do wish they had done this with Scar, as opposed to 2 separate figures, so it's an interim solution NECA had. I like it better than releasing 2 separate figures, but I like interchangeable heads even more. Of course, the neat thing about this style is you can use the mask as an accessory, and they did a good job with it, even giving some detail to the inside. But yeah, here he is, the elder of the ancient clan, presumably the clan leader as well, but not always. If you go back to the previous video we did on AVP looking at the temple guards, they would typically be guarding individuals like this guy. Again, he's got the sandals, something I really do like for the AVP lineup. Okay, let's wrap this up. And ending where we began. Chopper's demise came quite quickly, and I think as many have pointed out, Celtic going away very quickly after him was a little bit of a disappointment, but it was what it was. And I did find it a little odd that Scar didn't make note of being alien impregnated. I don't know. It's kind of a shame that in Predator films, almost always the Predator dies, even when they're kind of the hero or anti-hero, maybe. It's kind of nice when they actually make it. Oh well. Despite the film maybe being a little lukewarm, to me at least, the figures are neat. Very big, very authentic, lots of accessories. Again, you could tell that they were getting ready to do the Ultimate series with these because they're already hedging that. But the only thing these lack, interchangeable heads. That's one thing that the Ultimates would introduce, and that would have been nice just so we could get masked and unmasked versions. But, oh well, at least we did get extra weapons and discs and combi sticks and blades, and I do think the interchangeable hands and blades gimmick of this line was very well done and thought out. It, of course, worked well for the company, promoted people getting all of them, and it worked well for the consumer, being able to customize and also use as replacement parts, because we did usually get extras if something broke or was lost, or just wanted to have some fun. So which is your favorite as far as just the design? Kind of partial to Celtic myself. I like the net gun on his gauntlet, but they all have things to recommend them. Well, hope you've enjoyed this. Just hanging out, talking about NECA things, 7-inch scale, having fun on a weekend when I record this. I don't know when I'll publish it, but I record it on a weekend anyway. So, appreciate you hanging out. If you could, like, share, and subscribe. And be sure to check out the main Mishaco channel and other things. Why not? This is Misha, and catch you very soon next time.